everybody. Welcome to 2 Minutes and Beyond, the podcast where we review the Toy Story movies 2 minutes at a time. I'm Bianca Garcia, and this is Macy Ball.
Hello.
Hi. In this episode, we're talking about minutes 57 and 58 of Toy Story.
There's some good stuff in these minutes.
There is. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Should we go ahead and get started?
Yes, we should.
Okay. All right, so this clip starts off with Sid saying, "Oh man," and hitting his head against the window in disappointment at the thunderstorm. Woody looks relieved, and Sid gets an idea. He pretends like he's talking into a headset and says, "Sid Phillips reporting, launch of the shuttle has been delayed due to adverse weather conditions at the launch site. Tomorrow's forecast, sunny." He sets his alarm clock, chuckles, and says, "Sweet dreams."
We've talked before about how Sid watches probably medical dramas, ER, and Star Wars and like war movies. I feel like he's watching NASA documentaries too.
That or like the news, just like the way they report everything. He probably watches the news a lot with his dad or something.
Probably. We get a good shot of that Mega Dork poster again.
Yeah, I know. I really do like all his posters. They're a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I also like how even though he's like a sick, twisted little kid, he's still playing. Like he's, being imaginative, and he came up with that right on the spot for, the thunderstorm happening. But I don't know. I think he's pretty creative.
Yeah. I feel like just the phrase launch of the shuttle has been delayed due to adverse weather conditions at the launch site is quite a bit above like a 10 or 12-year-old's usual vocabulary.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all like, what little kid says adverse? I also like his clock, that he's even messed up his clock, or like that he's attached a doll arm to the clock.
Yeah, and then there's like the nail or whatever it is on the bottom.
Yeah, he trashes everything.
If I could make a wish list of Toy Story merchandise that I want to exist, that clock would be one of the things that I want.
That would definitely be a fun clock to have. I mean, this is not really Toy Story related, but at one point in time, I had a Wreck-It Ralph clock that was a little arcade. That was really cute. And just having stuff that's like movie related, even little clocks like that, I think it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. My sister and I had a Disney Cinderella's Castle clock that played, what's the song from Cinderella? A dream is a wish your heart makes.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it ruined that song for me because now every time I hear it, I just think of like having to wake up early in the morning for something, be like, not this song again.
That's really unfortunate. I've done that. Like when the phones used to have like little clips of songs where they were like, "Oh, you can buy this clip of a song and put it as your ringtone. Well, you could also put it as your alarm." And I ruined plenty of songs with that.
What time is it in this part? Because it's not nighttime, but he says sweet dreams, and then it cuts to Andy's house, and it's nighttime all of a sudden.
I know.
So I feel like some time probably passes between Sid's house and then when we see Andy being put to bed.
Mm-hmm.
But why does he say sweet dreams?
Maybe because it's like evening. I didn't pay attention to the actual time on the clock, so I don't know what the time is in the clip since I don't have it up.
I've got it here if I can get it to play. It says like 8:23 probably. It's almost at 8:25.
Okay, so it's probably, like, evening time, and maybe that's why he says sweet dreams, because it's in the evening, and, usually at the end of, like, a news report, even, like, at 6 o'clock, they're like, "Oh, and have a good night," just, like, saying, like, "Bye," but
Yeah, and I guess a 6 or 7-year-old like Andy might be going to bed at, 8:25.
right, to get up for school and everything, so they put them to bed earlier
Yeah, or in this case, for
for the
moving the
move.
next day, yeah.
Yeah, because I would imagine that it's summertime
Mhm.
because it looks pretty light out even at 8:30
Well,
at that time.
they mentioned earlier in the movie that, one of the toys says, "I thought Sid was at summer camp."
Oh, that's right. So, yeah, it is in the summer
Yeah,
because he was supposed to be at summer camp, but they kicked him out.
apparently.
Do we have anything else to say about this clip? Or,
Oh,
like, this part?
I just always think about, man, it's a good thing that it started raining when it did, or else this movie would have turned out very differently.
Oh, yes, for sure. I've thought about that too. Like, what if it didn't start raining? What if it was, like, pretty nice and, like, just a regular day? Buzz would have been dead.
I guess maybe I don't know. They wouldn't have had time to, like, come up with a plan, but maybe, like, the mutant toys could have helped Woody get out of the crate, which, speaking of which, now that I think about it, why don't the mutant toys help Woody get out of the crate?
That's true. You would think that they would because Sid is asleep, and they could have just went up there and got him and Buzz. They could have taken the rocket off of Buzz.
Maybe they maybe they were scared of waking Sid up?
Maybe. Or maybe because it's an explosive, they're like, "We're going to all explode if we try to take this off."
I don't know. There's a plot hole for you.
Yeah. This could have ended so many different ways, but it is what it is.
Yep. We can move on now.
Okay. All right. At the 25-second mark, it cuts to Andy's bedroom where Andy's mom is putting him to bed. She says, "I looked everywhere, honey, but all I could find was your hat." Andy worries, "But what if we leave them behind?" She assures him, "Don't worry, honey. I'm sure we'll find Woody and Buzz before we leave tomorrow." She gives him a kiss on the cheek, turns off the lamp, and then leaves the room. The camera focuses on a cardboard box with the words "Andy's Toys" written on it. From inside the box, Rex says, "I need air," and pops out of the top of the box, coughing up packing peanuts. Mr. Potato Head pops up and says, "Will you quit moving around?" Rex responds, "I'm sorry, it's just that I get so nervous before I travel." Mr. Potato Head asks, "How did I get stuck with you as a moving buddy?" And Rex says, "Everyone else was picked." The camera pans down to Bo, who is standing next to the box, watching Andy sleep. She says, "Oh, Woody, if only you could see how much Andy misses you."
This scene is so sweet.
I think it's so funny not to, like, just forget about Andy caring about his toys, but I think it's funny, like, as soon as the mom leaves, does Andy just, like, pass out so fast because then Rex pops up with the packing peanuts and he's like, "I need air."
That's what I was wondering too. I was like, "Man, Andy must be able to fall asleep really quick, and he must be a deep sleeper."
I
Not to hear
know.
Rex and Potato Head and Bo, I guess.
That's so ridiculous though, because it's like most kids don't fall asleep that fast. At least all the kids that I've either like babysat or when they would spend the night with me, like when we were little, like nobody falls asleep that fast.
Mm-mm. And I was thinking, how did no one see Bo standing there? Maybe she was just hiding behind the box or something.
Yeah. And then the next day, what if like when Andy wakes up, he sees the packing peanuts on the floor and then he sees that the box is kind of open. Like I would have been freaked out if I saw that.
Well, I think it closes again after they pop back down, doesn't it? Let me
Probably
see.
does.
Let me see. Um, yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah. But why
So they just haven't like taped it or anything, so they're able to
yeah,
open and
which
close it.
why didn't they
Okay.
tape it?
I know, I would have taped it.
It was just so the toys could could be able to
It
get
was
out and
for the
breathe.
movie.
Yeah.
And it's
There
funny because even to this day, like when I'm packing all my plushies and stuff, I'm always like, "Oh, these poor things. They need air." Like I don't like other plushies sitting on top of each other because I'm like, "You're squishing them."
that's what Toy Story has done to us.
Toy Story has forever ruined me because I will say sorry to a plushie, like if I bump it or something, or if it falls, I'm like, "Oh no, I'm sorry."
There was that time, maybe we talked about this on the podcast before, I don't remember, but there was a time when I had just gotten my Woody doll and I put him in his stand, and the stand is, like, really tight, like, to the point where it leaves a mark in the plastic on his neck, and I sent you a picture, and you were like, "What did you say? You were say that you were too scared to put it on because you didn't wanna hurt him?"
I didn't want to hurt him. I was like, I don't
On
want to put
yours.
him in there because I don't want to hurt him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like when I got those things and I saw how tight they were, I was like, yeah, no, this is torture for a toy.
You're like, "I'm not Sid, I'm not gonna do that to him."
Yes, exactly. I was like, no, he needs to be a free range toy.
How come Ham wasn't Potato Head's moving bunny? Because
I
that is a
know.
pairing that I feel like would make more sense.
I feel like them two get along a lot better. They're like the little old men in the group.
They're like the
But
Statler and Waldorf of the
yeah.
group.
They really are.
The 2 guys from The Muppet Show.
Yeah, so I love them. They're great.
I kind of, because Rex says, "Well, everyone else was picked," which makes me think it was like a, um maybe Ham, I feel like maybe doesn't actually like Potato Head all that much, but, Ham's kind of a know-it-all, and,
Yeah.
I mean, Potato Head thinks he's, like, the smartest guy in the room, but he's kind of an idiot, but just, like, hanging around I think Ham probably hangs around with Potato Head because it makes him feel smarter, but when it comes to,
Probably.
like, actually, spending the night, like, in a box with him, he's like, "No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be moving buddies with, I don't know, Lenny, somebody."
He probably did choose someone like Lenny or like RC, like a character that doesn't talk just so they wouldn't be bothering him.
Well, Lenny
Wait, no,
talks.
Lenny
Lenny talks,
talks.
yeah.
I feel like he may have chosen like RC then.
Well, Ham is the guy who likes to sit up on the shelf and kinda look at everything else that's going around, and, um, Lenny is a literal pair of binoculars. So maybe they would make a good pair in that way.
Yeah, that's true. Probably.
Potato Head probably went up to Ham and was like, "Hey, do you wanna be moving buddies?" And Ham's like, sorry, I'm already I've already, told Letty I would be his moving buddy."
That's like a prom reject right there.
And then no one else wants to be in the box with Rex because they know he's gonna just be freaking out the whole time.
The whole time, poor thing has box anxiety.
Aw.
I'm sure that, in the end, all of them are okay with each other. But
Mhm,
yeah, Mr. Potato Head seems like the one that's like, please don't put me with him. But then it's his luck to actually get him.
mhm.
And why wasn't Bo in a box?
She might have been, and she just climbed out, I don't know.
Oh, maybe. Because that is Molly's stuff. That's not technically Andy's stuff.
Yeah, she well, now that I'm thinking about it, because she's porcelain, and so are her sheep and, like, her lamps, so she probably would have been had to been, like, wrapped in bubble wrap or something.
Yeah. Maybe they have her there for the last night to keep on
Oh, yeah.
for Molly, so that's why she's out
So
still.
they didn't pack her until the morning.
Right. That's what I'm thinking now that I actually think about it. Because I was always just like, well, why is she out
Yeah,
of a
that makes
box? I
sense.
never really considered that she's part of the lamp and that's why she's out.
Yeah. I feel bad for Andy because 'cause I'm like, when you're a kid and you can't find, one of your favorite toys that you're, like, really attached to, that's so frustrating.
That is really frustrating. Like for me, when I was little, I used to have a bunch of Barbies, and I would always try to take a Barbie with me everywhere. I would lose them because of that. So, thankfully, I never lost any of like my most favorite Barbies, but I think also because my mom was like, don't take those Barbies because she knew they were my favorite. So she
Yeah.
was like, don't take your most favorite Barbies, just take a whatever Barbie. So, yeah, also when I was little, I had the tendency of throwing stuff out the window. When I was between the ages of 2 and 5, I used to like to throw stuff out the window. So that was another reason why I used to have an Ernie plush. And my mom, we were going through old pictures the other day, and I found Ernie, and I was like, "Oh, look, I have my Ernie there." And she's like, "Yeah." Shortly after that, you threw it out the window. So I was like, "Oh, bye, Ernie."
Oh, man. Yeah, I went through a phase where I took my it was a Barbie doll of the character Annalise from the Barbie movie, The Princess and the Pauper. I
Oh,
took
okay,
her
yeah.
everywhere for a little while. Thankfully, I never lost her or threw her out the window.
Oh gosh, I know. And then after Toy Story came out, I had the little Burger King Woody, and I would take him everywhere. Because I also had a bigger Woody that was the talking
Like
one,
the
and I
Thinkway
would,
one,
yes, I would
original one.
keep him at the house because my parents were like, "You're gonna lose him." So I would take the little Burger King. He was my pocket-sized travel Woody, so I would take him.
Aw. In the audio commentary, they said that Karen Kaiser was the animator who animated the scene, and she actually has 2 sons, and so she was able to, like, bring her experience, as a mother into animating the scene between Andy and his mom.
Oh, that's nice. That's always good to have, like, certain experience in certain things while animating it.
Yeah, and it's a really sweet moment between, you know, a mother and son.
Right, especially when the kid is sad, like, you do everything as a mom to try to comfort them, just try to make him look on the positive side of things, like, "Don't worry, we'll find him," or something like that, but, that's sad to see your kid sad.
Mhm. So we get a little bit of a glimpse into, like, Bo's perspective here,
Mhm.
because she says, if only you could see how much Andy misses you," which I think because, earlier on when Buzz first shows up and Woody or Andy wasn't really playing with Woody and, Woody was really upset about it. She's like, "Man, I wish you could." I mean, it's literally what she says. If only you could see how much Andy misses you, because Woody was feeling like maybe Andy didn't care about him as much.
Right, and I really do feel like maybe Woody almost thought, like, "Well, I'm not loved anymore," and he's really, because he's not seeing this, so he's probably thinking, like, I'm doing this for Andy. I don't, he's putting aside his, like, okay, well, I'm not the favorite anymore. So he's just doing it to get Buzz back now so that they can go be with Andy.
But in the next clip, when he starts comparing himself to Buzz, and he's like, "Why would Andy wanna play with me when he's got you?" You know?
Right. Yeah.
So I think he does feel that way to some extent, that he maybe thinks that Andy just doesn't care about him as much anymore.
Right, yeah.
Well,
That's really
which isn't
sad.
the case.
Right, yeah, exactly, but from his perspective, because he hasn't seen, how much he misses him yet, he's just like, "Oh, well,
Mhm.
I'm not the favorite anymore."
Yeah. But I feel like we talk a lot about like what is Bo thinking, as
Mhm.
everything else is going on. And last we saw of her, she was, you know, as far as she and the other toys knew, he was a murderer, just waving around Buzz's arm. Like she screams when when Woody accidentally pulls out his
Yeah.
arm. Um, so that makes me wonder a little bit about her response here too.
Right, yeah. I wonder if, like, after she thought about it, she was like, "Well, that can't be," you know, and she's in denial, or maybe she'd realize, like, his parts can come off.
Yeah. Um,
That's probably what happened. She's probably like, he's plastic, he's fine."
yeah, or she's just like, well, she she wants to believe, or she wants to wait for more evidence before, you know,
Right.
condemning him as a murderer.
She probably thinks more along the lines of, like, she still loves him, so she's not gonna, say anything bad about him until she actually sees, like you said, like, the evidence.
Yeah. We can move on now.
Okay. Okay, so moving on. At the 1 minute 16-second mark, it cuts back to Sid's house where Sid is sleeping and Woody is trying to escape from the milk crate. He goes, "Psst, hey, Buzz." But Buzz doesn't respond. He finds him at a washer and throws it at Buzz and says, "Hey, get over here and see if you can get this toolbox off me." Buzz looks at him and looks away. Woody says, "Oh, come on, Buzz, I can't do this without you. I need your help." Buzz responds, "I can't help. I can't help anyone." Woody says, "Why, sure you can, Buzz. You can get me out of here, and then I'll get that rocket off of you, and we can make a break for Andy's." And then the 2 minutes in there.
Mhm. It ends right as he's doing, like, his little finger gun
His little
pointing
finger
towards
guns.
Andy's house. I always love. I think in a previous episode, you mentioned that you have things to say about the way Sid sleeps.
I hate the way Sid sleeps. It looks so uncomfortable. I've never attempted it, but I feel like I would get stuck in that position trying to sleep like that.
Yeah, he's sleeping on his stomach, his, like, butt is up in the air. He's not wearing.
With his knees bent,
Yeah,
yes, it does
he
not look
doesn't have any, like,
comfortable.
covers on him. He's sleeping
He's
in
wearing
his
his
full
jeans and
clothes.
shoes.
He's got his Converse on.
Oh my god, he's a chaotic child. I can't,
If he's sleeping in those clothes, that makes me wonder how long he's been wearing them.
ew, I know. He's probably been wearing them for days, and he probably doesn't shower often.
Um,
I don't like that thought.
Sid's bed also hit the frame is just metal, and it looks kind of like old. I don't know how to describe it. It's like
Yeah.
old metal that's not in great shape, and there's like pointy edges on it, and there's like wire wrapped around the head of the bed. And I'm like, this doesn't seem like this a safe bed for a child to sleep in.
Right, yeah, no, looking at his bed, I was like, "This looks like if you make one wrong move, your eye is gone."
Mhm.
I don't like, and then his mattress doesn't have a fitted sheet on
Yeah, he
it.
doesn't have any
He's
sheets. He's got like you can kind of see him pushed to the side. There's like some camo blankets or like a top sheet or something.
Mhm.
He must get
I don't
cold.
like his bed.
I
He probably doesn't care.
I just don't know
Maybe
how
in
he
the winter
sleeps.
he does a little better.
But I feel like he would be colder than
Yeah,
in the
but
winter.
maybe he actually gets his blankets in the winter.
Maybe.
I don't like his setup. It makes me angry because I'm a blanket person. I have to have all my blankets. And right now in the winter, even though it's not as cold, but because I'm used to like 100-degree weather,
You're used to that
when it's I'm used
Texas
to
weather.
horrible Texas heat, yeah. So when it gets down to 30, I have 7 blankets on top of me.
Last week we were, or maybe it was last week or the week before, we were talking about how it looked like Woody's head could probably fit through through the handle in the milk crate.
Oh,
But
yeah.
looking at um like the shots from inside the milk crate, I'm less convinced of that now because it somehow looks smaller. It may just be
Yeah,
the
in this
angle.
shot, it does look smaller.
It may just be the angle, but even if his head is apparently squishy like it is in Toy Story 4, I don't know. He if he could possibly squish his head through there, but I don't know if his torso would fit.
Right, and then his, pull string would probably pull because it's pushing so close against
Yeah.
the crate.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
then
it
he just
probably
has
is
to like
not
pass his
as
hat through the hole.
right, yeah, so it's probably not. I wonder if they ran tests like that, like, trying to put him through the thing to see if it would work. Maybe they did that so they wouldn't be like, "Oh, well, he could have just gotten out too," like, when animating it. I don't know.
But it is weird because it does look smaller, at least to me. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's smaller in this
Yeah.
scene than in the last one for some reason, or I'm just imagining things. That seems more likely.
Yeah, for sure. But I feel like it was very convenient that a washer was there.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, like, there's a lot of stuff there, but just something small enough for him to throw at Buzz.
yeah. I mean, Sid's got a lot of junk on his desk.
He does, and I feel like all the characters in Toy Story are very deep sleepers because they
Yeah,
did not hear, or Sid did not hear, like, the washer hitting the little metal sound against plastic. Like, I would have heard that.
yeah. I mean, he doesn't even wake up later when the toolbox falls on the ground.
Oh, that's right. Oh my
Like he kind of
gosh. Yeah,
stirs for
no.
a second.
No, any sound, I wake up. I'm a light sleeper. I mean, if I've walked 20,000 steps, I'm a little bit of a deeper sleeper.
I
But for the most part, I will wake up for anything.
I'm the opposite. I sleep like a rock, and I sometimes have to use really loud and obnoxious alarms to get me to wake
Just
up.
to get you up.
If my toys were to come to life at night while I'm asleep, they wouldn't have anything to worry about.
Oh yeah, no, I'm the opposite. If one of the toys were to start saying like, "Hey," I'd be like, "Who said that?" And they'd probably just like be so scared, like, "Oh my god, she's awake."
Yeah, as long as they wait for me to go to sleep instead of like they did uh,
Like
with
the way Rex
Andy.
popped out of the
Yeah,
box.
just like start talking immediately. As long as they wait for me to go to sleep, then they should be good.
That is too funny. Yeah, no, that's crazy.
I
I would
noticed
be so scared.
I noticed in where was it? In some of the shots of Buzz, we get another look at Sid's cable management sitting there on the desk,
Yeah.
and there's just things plugged into. There's a bunch of stuff plugged into like this extension cord, like surge. I don't know if it's called a surge protector or whatever, but it's
Mhm.
it's some kind of extension cord, and there's things plugged into other things, and I'm like, you're just asking for a fire.
Exactly. I That gives me so much anxiety, especially now as an adult. I see it and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that is a fire hazard. You're gonna cause a blackout."
I feel like there's a lot of fire hazards in Sid's room because he's also got that singular light bulb hanging from the wire.
He's got a lot of very unsafe things in his room.
Yeah.
I'm deeply concerned for
And
him.
he's playing with firecrackers and blowing toys up, and
A very wild child.
he's got a hot glue gun. I feel like this is the first time that Woody, like, asks for or needs Buzz's help, and it doesn't feel like he's just, like, trying to use him to get back to Andy's room. It feels like he actually cares.
Right.
He needs him, but he actually cares about Buzz now too.
Right, about his well-being as well, because he sees how sad he is.
Yeah, he's not just using him as a tool.
Right.
Because he's seen, I think we talked about before, he's seen now that, Buzz isn't just like the obnoxious space ranger that he thought he or that Buzz thought he was, but he's like a toy with feelings, and he's a person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think also feeling like that helpless, like he sees how helpless Buzz feels, and then because he's in a helpless situation as well, he's trapped. He feels defeated. Like, okay, I need to ask for help, even though, we had our differences and I thought you were crazy. He's finally realizing like he's not a bad guy. He's just a toy who just discovered he was a toy and he's going through his own problems too.
Yeah, and this is literally a life or death situation, so he's got to get out of there.
Right, yeah, that too. That usually brings people together when there's like a very dangerous situation like that. That's when more people start to come together.
I don't know why the mutant toys aren't offering to help move the move the toolbox for him, but apparently Buzz is the only one who can get him out of there, so
Yeah, that is weird. Like, why weren't they running around and stuff? Like, usually in Andy's room, that's when they all wake up. But I don't know. That's kind of weird.
I was trying to think if any of them have, like, the hands or limbs that would, like, be able to help move the toolbox off, but I feel like even if they don't, they could figure something out. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they didn't do anything because it's too heavy for them.
I don't know. I feel like they could have maybe worked together and figured out a way to get it off of there. Or well, even after this, like, Buzz doesn't actually take the toolbox off. He just, like, pushes it forward, and Woody pushes the crate forward. Like, the mutant toys could have helped him do that.
Right. Yeah. Hmm.
But on
Oh
that
well.
uh, on that note, I think that's all I really have to say about this clip. I don't know about you.
Yeah, me too. Well, I guess we should wrap it up then.
I guess so.
Alrighty, well then, thanks for listening, everyone. Be sure to follow our Facebook and Twitter accounts and send us an email if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, or concerns. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.